If you haven't yet seen Emma Roberts' new rom-com, Maybe I Do, count yourself lucky. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are so many things wrong with this movie, I really don't know where to start. Of the 1 hour and 35-minute film, only 18 minutes are devoted to the main characters. The audience never gets to know the couple and instead is introduced to them when they're fighting. We're not invested in them getting back together. The hate turned to love concept doesn't work when the couple who hates each other is already dating. The film includes 2 other couples who won't be discussed fully in this YouTube video, which will instead focus solely on the 2 main characters and everything about them that just makes us cringe. The film starts at the couple's friend's wedding. Emma Roberts' character Michelle is shown lining up to catch the bouquet. Her boyfriend Alan didn't know Michelle was ready for marriage, and upon realizing this, he jumps and intercepts the bouquet. The whole scene is incredibly odd. Honestly, we're barely a minute into the first scene with the leads and we're already cringing. It's painful that Michelle cares so much about catching the bouquet. It's not like it really means she's going to get married next. And Alan catching it instead is just really unrealistic and not something that would actually happen. After this bizarre exchange, Michelle and Alan stand outside the hotel.
It was the bridal bouquet, Alan, and she threw it to me. Gonna jump in the air like it was Swan Lake, and I was coming down with those flowers. And you were gonna kiss me, and I was gonna kiss you, but the kind of kiss that let you know you'd be loved for the rest of your life. And me and my best friend in the white dress could keep thinking our beautiful thoughts about our children growing up and being best friends. Our kids, who we're never gonna have now because I'm not gonna let you touch me anymore.
Now, the fact that this woman is essentially saying she doesn't want to be with her boyfriend anymore because he prevented her from catching the bouquet at a wedding is just truly crazy. It's unrelatable and it's unhealthy. She says she's not going to have Alan's children because she is not going to let him touch her anymore. Now, she'll say this a few times in the film and we'll address it each time, but honestly, I find it really uncomfortable. There's just something that doesn't feel right about the way she's saying it. This statement is usually reserved for people who are truly repulsed by the other person. When someone says, "Don't touch me," an image of someone truly disgusted in their partner comes to mind. It's a serious command that usually results from a serious or severe action taken by the other person that warrants such a response. That's not the case here. This is our introduction to the characters. Michelle is upset because Alan stopped her from catching the bouquet. I also didn't mention Alan has not yet spoken a word to Michelle, which kind of shows he's stunned by her behavior.
You did it, Alan. You are responsible for the most humiliating moment of my life. All this time, I was sure it would be me, but no, it was you. I don't even want to be in the same room with you where there's a bed.
Alan finally speaks and offers to help Michelle out of her dress, to which she responds saying,
"Do you want me to help you?"
You don't touch me.
Again, it may just be me, but setting a boundary like this, telling a person, "Don't touch me," is serious. It's something you reserve for someone who truly makes you uncomfortable and who you can't bear making contact with you. It's not something you just throw out at your boyfriend who literally did nothing. Let me just say, she has now told Alan 3 times that she doesn't want him touching her or being intimate with her, despite him literally making 0 moves to do so. Next scene, Michelle asks Alan if there's something wrong with her.
So, is there something wrong with me? You holding out for a ballerina?
You've always been a ballerina to me.
Oh boy. If we weren't having this argument right now, I'd be kissing everything you got.
This is yet another example of why Emma Roberts' character is unlikable. We don't want our female lead who's upset with her boyfriend to be asking him what's wrong with her. If she's this upset, she shouldn't care. She should be focusing on what she doesn't like about him, not what he doesn't like about her. This is her 4th comment about them being physical, despite him making literally 0 efforts. It's problematic because she sets a boundary that really doesn't match the situation and then teases him. It's like she's saying no over and over to a question he didn't ask, but then throws in a maybe, like she wants him to try harder. It's 2023. If you're telling a man that you don't want him to touch you, that's a no, and that's a hard boundary. To play around with him after setting the boundary just discredits you and really all women. Alan finally starts participating in the conversation and basically says he doesn't want to get married. He likes the way things are.
I love you right now. And now.
You don't even get to say that anymore.
Honestly, I can't get over this character. At this point, the 2 have barely discussed marriage. All that's really happened is Alan prevented her from catching the bouquet, and during a discussion, voiced his opinion about marriage. Her response is to dismiss his feelings and say he doesn't get to tell her he loves her because he won't marry her. The conversation continues barely.
You're just lucky what you did tonight doesn't stop me from knowing who you really are.
I am lucky, but I don't get to touch you anymore.
Is that all you want? Here. This is my heart. This is my mind. All this can be yours if you call within the next 24 hours.
It was clear the director was trying to make a sweet moment, but honestly, it makes us want to vomit.
You've got 1 day to tell me we're on the road to somewhere. Not that we're here and this is it, because this is not it. Anything besides a yes is a no.
The scene ends, and the next thing we know, the two leads are at their respective parents' houses. I can't highlight enough how poorly the introduction of the characters was. We literally know nothing about them and their dating history, and the whole first scene with them centers around how Michelle wants to get married and Alan isn't sure. Alan is then given an ultimatum despite having valid concerns about the idea of marriage, which Michelle just disregards. Telling him 1 minute that he can't touch her and he can't tell her he loves her, and the next, she's putting his hands all over her body and leaning in to kiss him. When the scene ends, I honestly want to turn the TV off. Michelle is just so unlikable, and honestly, I find myself hoping Alan escapes. In terms of Alan's character, we've really only heard him speak a few times, during which he's voiced his real concerns about marriage, which were again ignored. If we look at the components of a successful romantic comedy, this movie is already striking out. The leads are not lovable and not relatable. They have the potential to be had their characters been developed and their relationship history prior to this marriage conversation been shared. But why would we care if two characters we don't know get married? And why would we like a female lead who can't set boundaries and keep them, is inconsistent and tries to seduce her boyfriend into marrying her, and gives him an ultimatum? The answer, we don't. There's no meet cute, as we have no idea how the two met and know nothing about them as a couple. The movie literally opens with their relationship in jeopardy. This is nearly identical to Shotgun Wedding and doesn't work for the same reason. A rom-com can't have the lead's relationship be in jeopardy throughout the entire movie. We first need to see the relationship doing well so that we can root for the couple. If you only show me a couple who fights, why would I want them to end up together? Next up, Michelle, who last we saw gave Alan an ultimatum, calls him. She calls him, despite saying to him he needs to reach out. And what does she do? She literally tells him she misses him. Like, God forbid she actually keeps the boundary she set. She literally says he needs to call her in 24 hours or she won't be with him. And here she is calling him and telling him she misses him, not making me like her character anymore.
Here's an interesting thing that's gonna happen, but first, I miss you. My parents want to have you guys over for dinner tonight. They think it would be nice if we all finally got together.
Instinctively a bad idea.
Do it.
She invites him and his parents to dinner with her parents. Like, why bother? You're literally mid-fight. Maybe work it out between yourselves before you have the parents meet. It just makes no sense. It wouldn't happen in real life, it's not realistic, it's not relatable, and it's not even entertaining. It's so clear that this part of the film is meant to set up the drama between the parents, something I haven't mentioned. Essentially, Michelle's mom and Alan's dad have a side story, as do Michelle's dad and Alan's mom. The dinner serves to expose the parents, but doesn't make sense for the kids. It's the night of the dinner, Michelle opens the door, Alan walks in, and the two don't interact at all. She pulls Alan aside to a separate room, the two literally say one word to each other, and then the parents walk in saying how important this night is for Michelle. The two are suddenly in Michelle's bedroom, and the cringiness continues. Alan seems really tormented. He expresses concern that their love will fade like his parents has. Michelle essentially ignores his worries and tries to be cute. This is followed by perhaps the worst scene of the film.
But Michelle, they were us. They believe what you believe. They believe they wouldn't lose their minds. All I've been asking is what happens to us on the way to them. I mean, do we wake up on some cloudy Tuesday and we're just not excited by each other anymore?
You will always be excited by me. Look at me. I'm on my little bed. Don't get on my bed looking like that.
I got dressed for your parents.
My mother wears turtlenecks. Get it off. Get it off. Get it off. You don't touch me anymore, remember?
Oh, yeah.
At this point, I actually despise her character for what she's doing to women. She has literally been all over Alan. She has told him she misses him. She's the one who jumped on him and took off his turtleneck. Do that and then set the boundary again, saying, wait, don't touch me, is honestly not okay. Alan has not disrespected her once and has not made any attempts to be physical. The times the two have kissed or touched have all been instigated completely by Michelle. It's hard to put my finger on it, but there's just something really wrong about having a girl say no over and over again, but having her make advances. It's hinting at the fact that when women say no, they mean yes. It's also teaching men to not take women seriously when they say no. Literally 10 seconds after telling Alan he can't touch her anymore, in a complete serious tone, she tells him to get in the bed and the two cuddle. What's even more frustrating is that Alan is being genuine, and the concerns he shares about marriage are warranted. His parents literally hate each other. And Michelle's response?
Alan, we're so good together. What are you doing?
I don't want it to happen to us.
Alan is literally sharing his feelings, and Michelle just views it as excuses. The two then go downstairs and continue the argument in front of their parents. Michelle says this mouthful of a line,
Don't let what you don't know is coming get in the way of what you know we have now.
essentially saying, don't worry about your concerns that all married couples eventually fall out of love. Just focus on how we feel about each other now. Her general sentiment is understandable. There's no point worrying about what will happen, we can't control it. But in this context, Alan's concern is real, and it's relatable. It's reasonable to worry that you'll eventually fall out of love with the person you're married to. His parents did. Then there's this really dramatic monologue.
I mean, the easiest thing we could do is smash this up and move on and keep asking ourselves the same questions, but with other people. And if I do find somebody else, the difference will be that I already knew you. You will be my frame of reference for loving somebody, and I will compare them to you, and they will fail. Why would you do that to me? And if we do someday have children with someone else, your little girl won't look like me. You won't be able to see me and everything we've gone through over the years in her face, and when she finds her person, it'll never remind you of what you and I had together. Jump with me. How can you ask me to promise you that we won't go crazy later? You're crazy now. Unless you found something. Have you finally found something wrong with me? You've had enough time, so just tell me what's wrong with this girl right here, right now.
Another problem I have with the movie is similar to my problem with the show The Bachelor. A proposal should not be rushed or put on a timeline. I don't understand why Michelle needs Alan to decide that night. It's clear they have things to discuss and process. Alan doesn't need an ultimatum, he just needs a conversation. But apparently the movie has to be resolved tonight or they won't get their happy ending, which comes in the form of a wedding. And that's it. That's literally the whole plot surrounding this couple. Going back to our checklist of components of a successful rom-com, there's no situation that allows the leads to fall in love. An example of this is in The Proposal when Margaret and Andrew go to Alaska, where they're forced to spend time together so they fall in love. The current film doesn't have this at all. It pretty much has the opposite. The two leads go to their parents' houses and spend the entire movie apart. There's no big gesture. I refuse to count it as Alan deciding to marry Michelle. It's technically a happy ending, but I don't think anyone besides Michelle is happy. It's really not a picturesque setting. Their whole relationship essentially takes place indoors. The only scenery we see is at their wedding, which I'm not counting since most wedding venues are nice. So literally the only component of good rom-coms that this movie has were the relationship in jeopardy, which again constituted the entire film, and the quote-unquote happy ending, which I personally don't find to be happy. The entire film, we hear Michelle talking about how when they grow old together and have kids, they'll still be in love. If you want to have a happy ending, show me that. A lasting marriage. Showing me a wedding literally means nothing. It's the idea of marriage as winning that is really an issue. In case it isn't clear how I feel about this film, it was a complete waste of money and of good actors. I'm disgusted that this is what is being produced in 2023. The female lead spent the entire movie focused on marriage and behaving like a complete lunatic. The whole purpose of a romantic comedy is for the audience to swoon and to wish it happens to us. We all want to be swept off our feet and we want the big romantic gesture. If we're supposed to watch this movie and want the happy ending for ourselves, then we're also being instructed to be desperate, controlling, and essentially beg our boyfriends to marry us. And when they say no, we're to give them an ultimatum. That's how we get our happy ending, according to this movie. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment with a rom-com you'd like me to cover next, or subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks!